Item 2 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the January 6, 2009 meeting. Do I have any comments, corrections, or a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from James. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Item 3 on the agenda is public hearing consent agenda plats. Item 3A is final plat of Milliken School Edition, Lot 1R, Block A, an 18.53-acre tract, zone public use, located on the west side of Savage Lane, north of Lake Park Road.
The main purpose of the plat is to replat an existing lot, and in general, the school district is adding some easements and deleting some easements, and there are some other minor differences, but it's just a replat of an existing lot. It meets the requirements of the General Development Ordinance, and so staff is recommending approval.
Thank you. At this time, I don't believe we have anyone in our audience to open up for the public hearing. Do I still need to, Gene, if there is no one technically? Good idea.
I would recommend just declaring it open, and if there's no one here to speak, declaring it closed.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing on item 3A. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward. If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion from Karen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Joy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed on item 3A. Do we have any discussion? Do I have a motion then on item 3A?
Make a motion to approve item 3A as presented.
I have a motion from Karen to recommend approval of item 3A. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from James. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item 3A passes. Item 4A is public hearing plats. The amended final plat of the Villas at Wellington Edition, Phase 2, lots 72R through 78R, Block B, a .0542-acre tract designated Townhouse 2, located north of Bel Air Boulevard, south of Palisades Drive, and bounded by Valley Parkway on the west with 3 requested variances.
Good evening again. Again, this is a replat, although it's a residential replat and also has 3 variances attached. Briefly, I think the Villas at Wellington is located, it's a townhouse subdivision that was platted about a year and a half ago at the northeast corner of Bel Air and Valley Parkway. It was platted in 2 phases. This particular section of Villas at Wellington is Phase 2. The replat is of 7 lots in the far northwestern corner of the subdivision adjacent to Valley Parkway. The purpose of the replat is to revise some easements on the plat in order to accommodate an alternative screening wall location. And they also added an easement along the north side of the, I believe it's Lot 72, for the utility, one of the franchise utility companies. Getting into the meat of the matter, there are 3 variances associated with this replat. During the construction of Villas at Wellington, it became apparent that, well, let me back up. The developer originally received approval to remove all the trees on the site and was going to mitigate all the trees on the site. About halfway or maybe 3/4 of the way through the construction of the subdivision, the developer changed his mind and decided that he would rather try to save a row of very nice large trees adjacent to Valley Parkway. In order to do so, we had to, he had to move the proposed location of the screening wall so that the screening wall wouldn't disturb the base and root line of the trees. In doing so, it created the need for 3 variances. The first variance is to allow a public screening wall on private property within an easement. Normally, public screening walls are located in the right-of-way. In this case, there's an easement for the screening wall immediately adjacent to the right-of-way, and they've moved the wall back along those 7 lots that are within the replat. They've kind of jogged it back. For those of you that might have noticed, there's a little jog in the wall. And on those last 7 lots, it's actually in an easement outside of the right-of-way. The second variance is to allow portions of the public sidewalk within an easement outside of the right-of-way. Again, similar to the wall, we normally put the sidewalk adjacent to the screening wall, and of course, in the same for the same reasons, wanting to save some very nice large trees, the sidewalk had to be pulled back into the easement as well, so as not to disturb the roots and the ground around the existing trees. The third variance is to allow up to 40% wrought iron. I think they use tubular steel, but basically allowing a tubular steel or wrought iron panel in an area on a screening wall adjacent to a backyard. Typically, the General Development Ordinance only allows wrought iron panels in a screening wall when houses are siding up to an arterial street, such as Valley Parkway. In this case, all 7 of the lots actually backed Valley Parkway, again in an attempt to save the trees and to reduce the amount of ground disturbance. Even with moving the wall back, it was necessary to install some wrought iron panels. I believe there's about 3 of them. They're shown in blue on the exhibit, so that the ground would not be disturbed in those immediate areas. Staff is recommending approval of all 3 variances as well as the replat. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, David. Do we have any questions from any of the board members or any comments on this?
I have one. How tall is that screening wall it's going to be?
The screening wall is 6 feet, roughly, plus or minus.
All this is already in place, right?
Correct. The developer took it, I guess, took their own risk, I guess. All of this occurred during the middle of construction, and they wanted to get the screening wall done, I guess, before the variance was going to be scheduled, because the crew was there actually building the wall, and they didn't want to send them off and then have to pay to bring them back. So they took it out at their own risk to build the wall, knowing that if worse came to worse and for some reason the variances weren't approved, that we'd have to come back, have the wall removed, take down the trees, and put the wall where it normally would be installed. We have not accepted this subdivision yet, pending the outcome of this variance.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Dave, I have one thing. So the first waiver on our list here, actually the first waiver from the letter from Portrait Homes is about the wrought iron, and then the public screening is the second one. So we're actually shifting the public screening back and the onto the easement within the private property, and then part of that will be the wrought iron panels in those specific places where they didn't want to disturb the ground.
Correct. All three variances are pretty well entwined.
Right.
They are three separate sections of our ordinance.
Right, okay. And so by moving this combination of public screening and some wrought iron panels onto the easement, it's putting it onto the easement in the private property, but it's still an easement that the city has basic control over what's running on that patch of ground, right?
Yes, it's a screening wall and sidewalk easement, which gives the city the ability to operate and maintain a screening wall and a sidewalk and get in there to do any required maintenance work.
So this is on private property, but within the
Right.
within
Right. The different,
easement. So.
Correct. Right-of-way is typically property that's actually owned by the city.
Right.
An easement is owned by the individual property owners, or in this case, it's owned by the HOA.
Right.
But the easement gives the city the right to get on there to do their business.
Right. Got it. I have a couple in my yard, so.
Is there somebody here from Wellington?
I don't believe there is anybody here this
Because
evening.
I'm just going to say, I think this was fantastic that they made this call and saved the trees, because I think a lot of these builders would not have done it, would not have taken the chance. So I'm just going on the record to say I appreciate it.
I had a feeling you'd have that comment, Joy. Thank you. Do we have any other comments before David completes his little... Okay. Thank you, David. I guess at this time I will open the public hearing on item 4A. Anyone wishing to speak for or against item 4A, please step forward. And if we have no one, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion from Karen, second from Jim to close the public hearing on item 4A. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing is closed. At this time, I guess unless we have additional comments, concerns, or issues from the board, do I have a motion for item 4A?
Make a motion to approve item 4A as presented.
Second?
Have a motion to recommend approval of item 4A from Jim, a second from Joy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Item 4A passes unanimously. Item 5 is other business. Gene or David? For other business, I think the one item we have on here is that there will be a transportation board noted following tonight's P&Z meeting after we adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Karen to adjourn, second from Alvin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.